Aquila means eagle in Latin, and it's also the name of a constellation. Aquila is a orbiting space settlement that's going to provide as a source of living and education and work for 25,000 people.
In Aquila, we will be mainly using thorium and solar panels as our main sources of energy. Solar panels will generate approximately 50 to 60% more electricity than that they generate on Earth. We have also decided to use thorium as a secondary source of energy, as thorium, being a radioactive element, will be enough to produce electricity that will be sufficient for a man's entire lifetime. Other than that, we will also be using the sewage biogas system.
Very soon the Earth is not going to be able to sustain the population that as in the form it's increasing. The Earth will not be able to provide enough area for living, resources and food that we humans need. Living on other planets is still a very far way off and needs a lot more scientific progress and development. On the other hand, living in space can be a viable option, and therefore we have decided to make what we think will be a good idea for a space settlement, Aquila. The aims of Aquila are to, first of all, give man an alternative place to live, so that Earth can remain sustainable, can sustain life without us humans changing anything in it. And it will also help in expanding man's boundaries to what we understand of the solar system and the universe. Aquila will be located at the fourth Lagrangian point between Earth and Moon. Basically, why we have selected the fourth Lagrangian point between Earth and Moon is that Lagrangian point 1, 2 and 3 in the Earth-Moon configuration are quite unstable and can prove dangerous to the settlement, as there is gravitational imbalance many times in these areas. Lagrangian point 5, although stable, has quite a lot of space debris and space dust, which again can prove fatal for the settlement. The advantage of Lagrangian point 4 is that it has got close proximity to both the Earth and the Moon. So the settlement is close to the Earth and the Moon, so we can always look down to Earth in case we need anything, and also the construction will be much easier. Now I am going to talk about the basic physical structure, how Aquila is going to look. So Aquila is like a hollowed out sphere, if you will. Basically, we have got two hemispheres at the top and the bottom, and we have got three tori in the middle, with the one in the middle, like the central tori, being the biggest. So basically, and all of our sectors are divided into these five shapes, if you will, and we have a central cylinder which will connect all the tori and the hemispheres. The top hemisphere will have the emergency pod, which will basically, it's a mechanism to eject from the settlement in case of emergency and come back to Earth. The first torus will have the agriculture sector. The middle, the largest torus, will have the residential sector along with storage sectors. The third torus, which is right above the bottom hemisphere, will have management, transport and health and research sectors. And the fifth torus will have the thorium reactor as well as the waste management sector. The central cylinder that I earlier talked about will basically prove as a lift and as a connecting source for all the different shapes that we have, structures that we have decided to use. So now we have very carefully chosen the layers layers of the outer wall that we will be using for our settlement, as space is very cold and is basically vacuum, and also that there is a lot of solar radiation. So we have got 6 different materials, including carbon nanotubes, aluminium nitride ceramic, Kevlar, polyethylene, asbestos and also thermoset polyimides, which basically is going to help the settlement stay warm and not be affected by solar radiation or the temperature and vacuum of space.
Aquila Space Settlement provides the best facilities for the residents to stay. That is why the resident population of 25,000 people has been divided into 5 houses. Each house consists of 64 floors. Each floor consists of 40 apartments, and one such floor has only 20 apartments. Each apartment will accommodate around 4 people. The residence sector consists of many subsectors like residential apartments, education, and the recreational areas.
There will be robot and human teachers. The children will be having aptitude tests which will help them decide which field they would like to pursue in the future. They will be receiving training on their respective fields. There will be application-based tests as well. These children will be given every opportunity to test their abilities in the fields. As the adults, the children will also be taught to help in the working of the settlement.
So we have taken some small but very effective steps in helping the temperature of the settlement remain proper. First of all, we are lining the entire inside of the settlement with insulating materials so that the heat is trapped inside. We are also going to have electric heaters placed at strategic points, and other than that, our ventilation system also has a few tweaks here and there to ensure that the temperature remains same. Passengers will be selected basically on 4 factors: merit, health, gender and age. First of all, if anybody wants to go up to Aquila and live there permanently, he needs a basic amount of education. He also needs to pass certain health checks a few months in advance and just before going up to space, and he needs to be completely should have absolutely no diseases, infections, anything at all. So even if he has a common cold, he won't be allowed to go up into space. And even the medical history will be looked at so that people with greater risks of like genetic diseases will be discouraged. Gender, at the time of launch, the gender, like half of our population will be men and the other half will be women. So we have a 1-to-1 ratio of men to women. Age, at the time of launch, we are going to have fixed proportion for age to ensure that we have almost equal number of all age categories. And the selection of passengers will be based only on the above mentioned points and not on any race, color, nothing like that. People with any criminal record will not be allowed to be allowed on board. Now, I would like to talk about the governing body of Aquila. Aquila has what we are calling the management department. It works like a democratic government with elections every 4 years. Due to the small number of people aboard, we are going to discourage political parties, so to say, and encourage independent candidates. And the basic function and the responsibility of this management department will be to ensure the overall proper working of the station and to ensure the safety of the passengers. And we are also going to have a space science council, so to ensure that there is proper communication between all sectors of space science council and ensure that everything is running smoothly. For law, what we are going to have is what we are going to call a settlement policy, and basically it's going to be like any trial with a selected judge, and the result of said laws can only be referred to the space policy, settlement policy. Now, about the waste disposal, trash will be dealt with in several different ways in Aquila. We are first of all going to categorize trash into 4 types: wet, dry, e-waste and heavy metals. Wet waste will be composted and used for making biogas and compost. Dry waste will be totally recycled, and in case of plastics which cannot be remolded, they will be put into gasolysis chambers and they will be converted totally into fuel, which will be used to make energy. For the e-waste, we also have some very innovative ideas to deal with the e-waste and heavy metals. For heavy metals, we have what we a process known as pyrolysis, which is the elimination of hazardous and medical waste. And pyrolysis works by incinerating substances using an ultra high temperature electric arc. Sewage water will be treated like it's treated on earth. We will be using different techniques like trickling filters, activated sludge, and anaerobic digester chambers. Now, water is very essential for life, and therefore we need to ensure that all of our residents get enough water supply. So, on an average, the space settlement is going to need around 23,530 million liters of water per day. So, basically we have different techniques to make water, such as reverse water gas shift, Sabatier process, and water from urine. We are also going to be recycling water to the maximum. We are going to use solar energy to purify water, and we are going to have 3 or 4 ways of purifying water with solar energy. And other than that, we are also going to use reverse osmosis, microfiltration, ultrafiltration, ultraviolet oxidization, and electrodialysis for filtering the water. Next we have got air filtration, and we are going to use a high efficiency particulate arrestants or HEPA to filter our air. And we are also going to have a chemical scrubbing and oxidization unit, which will ensure proper gas levels and odors, like odors as in smell, in the entire settlement. We are going to create artificial gravity in the settlement by basically spinning the Aquila on its axis. So, this will make gravitation with centripetal force.
In agriculture, we are using basically 2 methods, that is zeoponics and aeroponics. So, in zeoponics, we need soil, but in aeroponics we don't. Actually, the roots are sprinkled with a special chemical solution which helps the plant to grow. And so, for meat, we will be using in vitro meat, which will be made artificially in labs. We will be using robots in the health sector, that is the Da Vinci robot, which we will be using, and Baymax, which is a part of a movie, Big Hero 6, and we will be using Asimo, which is a robot. It's a humanoid robot, and so we will be using other kinds of robots like vacuum cleaning robots and server robots, police patrolling robots, etc.